memories of Hurricane Iselle in 2014 that hit the Big Island. The last landfall, the tropical storm landfall on the Big Island. It was a hurricane. It weakened to a tropical storm before making landfall and caused a lot of damage along the windward side of the Big Island, and also a lot of damage on Maui as well. The wind field from Lala is much bigger than that was back in 2014. So that's another consideration. Even though the track shows it passing south of the islands, the tropical storm force winds, which can be damaging, will extend north and could impact all the islands, hence the tropical storm warning.
So as you can see, I signed an emergency proclamation yesterday. The mayors have followed suit, and we're going to hear from Mayor Alameda here in a moment. We heard from Mayor Blangiardi, terrific updates. The reason we do emergency proclamations is because it brings resources. We have $100 million set aside, thanks to the legislature, from the Major Disaster Fund, and that means if we need resources quickly, we can get them instantly to help us respond to the storm. You're going to hear more from General Logan here in a moment. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so some updates on what's closed, right? There is no statewide closure of state offices because we're going into the weekend and things are calm right now. However, all of the DOE campuses, all of them on Big Island, Maui, Lanai, Molokai, so Maui County and Big Island, and the offices, those are closing at 5:30, okay, Friday through Sunday anyway. That means that no sporting events, no activity out, because the storm is going to be very rough. When you saw that picture of it passing through the kind of just south of Big Island, winds will start getting crazy tonight, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then the flooding rains will come, and so it's just not going to be safe to be out and about. All Oahu and Kauai DOE campus and offices will close Sunday, and then we'll give people updates later on Sunday whether or not we have to close any of the state for Monday. Hopefully the storm will have moved past us, and hopefully it won't have caused much damage. But when you get rain of that magnitude, you can be sure there are going to be landslides, there's going to be rockfall, there's going to be all kinds of debris. And we just went through quite a lot of flooding in some of these areas in the southern part of the Big Island where big caverns were formed. People already lost their water sources. Probably some of their roofs were destabilized. So, you know, we're worried. We're worried about how people will respond. If you feel now that your house doesn't have a great roof or might not be able to withstand hurricane force winds, then first things first, you go to a family or friend's house and you kind of hunker down there. If they don't have space for you, that's when you use some of the shelters. But you don't move once the hurricane has started, because if you do that, you'll be on the road, there'll be near zero visibility, and you'll have a car accident. University of Hawaii, UH Hilo and Hawaii Community Colleges are going to close all of their campuses from Saturday and Sunday. That means weekend events for those campuses, including athletic events, are canceled. We'll make those up later. We'll kick the butt of whatever teams we were going to be playing a week later, I'm sure. Normal operations are expected, though, to resume Monday. We think that the storm will have passed for the most part by then, but we'll keep giving updates throughout the weekend and Monday. We meet frequently day in and day out. Next slide. Another couple things, Department of Transportation. So the state airports are technically open and operating normally right now, but you can expect there's going to be just a lot of cancellations. Right now, we've already got 23 flight cancellations for Saturday, mostly inter-island flights. We're going to lean heavily on all of our airlines. We will hear from Hawaiian if there's an additional surge of closures. Same thing can be said of Southwest. They've always been very good about that. And our Department of Transportation Director, Ed Sniffen, who's always on top of it, will make sure that people are taken care of. If they get stranded at airports, we get people to hotels. So the outreach teams are already out there on their way, taking care of those who might somehow get stuck. Also, we're doing a lot of clearing, and we have been since the Kona lows, of streams near bridges, because we don't want extra flooding. And so that's been an important thing. I know that was being widely debated. That's why we're doing it. DLNR, again, they coordinate what we do with this debris, but also they've been looking at the dams. So the dam owners are directed to check their facilities, review emergency plans, prepare their responses, but we'll be there to back them up. So if we get any big surges of water, of course, we're going to update people. The main thing everyone should know is the dams have been secure, but when you get the amount of rain, which I'm about to show you in a moment, it can be quite serious. Next slide. Okay, why don't I give this over to Joe?
here we are currently stand with watches warning with our watches, warnings, and advisories for the state. The two things to highlight here: hurricane warning for Hawaii County, tropical storm warning for Maui County, Oahu, and Kauai. Everything around the state will be red to some degree. As Governor mentioned, heavy rain expected. We also have a flood watch across the entire state. So very heavy rainfall possible with this tropical cyclone. And then in addition, we also have high surf warnings for east-facing shores, Big Island, Maui, Molokai, Oahu, and high surf advisory for east-facing shores of Kauai. Not quite as big, but still very rough, choppy, dangerous surf conditions out in the ocean.
Yeah, so if you want specifics, and it's always difficult to know exactly. So this storm's been moving about 14 miles per hour through the area. And so that means, it's going to get past us over the course of a day or two, but you can see that when it stalls, it causes just enormous rains. If you want to know specifically when you can expect these heavy rains, we're thinking mid-morning, Big Island. That's when it could get very heavy. And then later in the afternoon on Maui, and then perhaps in the evening on Oahu. But we'll keep giving you updates. You'll get them, terrifically from John. Next slide. This just gives you another way to look at things. The red is where it's significant. We were even debating whether you call it significant or extreme. Let's just say this. It's going to be one heck of a lot of wind and water. And that's Saturday and Sunday. That's what you can expect. Mostly, it's going to be Big Island and Maui, although we'll see what we get on Oahu as it comes through. We're hoping that it's going to be sufficiently far south that we just get the periphery of the storm, but no promises. We've seen storms turn, and I'll show you a depiction of that here in a moment. Next slide. This, in some ways, is the best indicator of what to expect. That very dark area, that is severe rain, and that rain could be 15 to 20 inches of rain. That means there will be floods in low-lying areas. That means that there will be rocks that come down off the mountain, and no part of our state can absorb that much water that quickly. So I would expect there to be some flooding. So it's 15 to 20 inches on the windward side of Big Island. Windward Maui could get 8 to 12 inches. And locally, we've seen bursts that have 4, 5, 6 inches more. The rest of the island chain, 4 to 6 inches, which, by the way, is more rain than they ever see on the mainland, practically. So, again, an incredible amount of water. You can expect, though, again, heavy rain and flooding highest on the Big Island and Maui. Next slide. A couple things to do, to be prepared. Have 2 weeks in general of supplies if you can. Have your medicines ready. You just don't want to go out. There could be power failures. HECO has told us to expect some extensive power failures. They will do what they can to get power back online, but it could be several days in some areas if we lose power. Make sure you've charged all your devices. Make sure you check on your loved ones if they're elderly especially, and ensure that you've got clean water and necessary supplies. Avoid unnecessary travel once the weather comes. You never, ever, ever go across a roadway when it's flooded and you can't see. That's when you get swept away, and it actually does happen. Next slide. Here are some websites to take a look at. At Gov, Josh Green is me. We'll be putting up state updates constantly. Go to HIEMA's website. They have a great set of data there at ready.hawaii.gov. That will tell you where the storm is at its worst. It will also tell you where the shelters are if you need to get them. The counties also have great websites. Again, ready.hawaii.gov. We also have the National Hurricane Center advisories there. And then, follow the media. They will give you great information and updates constantly. Next slide. Okay, one last thing. Historically, and then I'm going to bring John one more time up here. That's what happened in 1992. Look, the hurricane was following southern trajectory, and then it turned up and it hit Kauai. And Iniki did an incredible amount of damage. It was a stronger hurricane, admittedly. It was a Category 4 hurricane, so the winds were well over 100 miles per hour, but it made landfall. And this was the last hurricane to technically make landfall. That was in 1992. Did $3 billion worth of damage. It destroyed thousands of homes, and it did kill 6 people. So we just can never know if a storm is going to turn. So that's why we're trying to be very cautious. The rains and winds will be enough to cause some damage, certainly on Big Island. But if you get a turn of a hurricane like this, it's even more severe. We've been in constant communication with all of our partners across the state, and soon we're going to bring up General Logan to to kind of elucidate what we have available for everybody. Next slide. See? Perfect timing. The hurricane is coming. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Mahalo, Governor and John. Up next, I'd like to introduce Hawaii Adjutant General Major General Stephen Logan.
Aloha kako, and thank you for this opportunity. Let me just tell you that the Hawaii National Guard is prepared to support state and county emergency response efforts as Tropical Storm Lala approaches the Hawaiian Islands. Approximately 180 Hawaii National Guard personnel have been activated and are positioned statewide to support rescue operations statewide. On Oahu, the Hawaii National Guard Joint Staff, a command and control element, has been activated and will support all the other island task forces should they be needed. Task Force Hawaii on the Big Island is made up of about 33 guardsmen. It's postured in anticipation of the potential impacts of the tropical storm or hurricane that's coming late tonight or early tomorrow morning and all the way through the weekend. The Joint Staff and Task Force Hawaii will operate 24 hours through this weekend into Maui and may be extended depending on the conditions that are experienced. Additional resources are also available to be called upon. Task Force Maui will be stood up on Saturday and be prepared to support Maui County and all of her islands. High-wheeled vehicle teams are pre-positioned and ready in each county, much like we did in the February, March, and April timeframes earlier this year. Liaison officers from the National Guard are working in the county emergency operations centers and also in other state centers directly with state and county emergency management and officials. We'll stand those up on Kauai as the storm sequentially moves through our state. Hawaii National Guard leaders will continually assess conditions and coordinate with federal, state, county, and active military partners. And I'll just close with saying that you're not alone. So I've been in contact with the chief of the National Guard Bureau. There's 53 other states and territories that have already pledged their support should it become necessary. I went through a 2-day conference with America's Theater Army in the Pacific, which is the United States Army Pacific, and they are postured and ready to support as well. And also PACOM, which is the Combatant Command Theater here, the admiral that commands that, has also pledged his support. So much like other disasters that we've experienced here, we have a lot of resources to call upon. If you have any questions or you need any other information, and the governor talked about this, but I urge you to visit ready.hawaii.gov and you'll be able to get your answers there. Thank you.
Mahalo, General Logan. Finally, we have Mayor Kimo Alameda joining us virtually from the island of Hawaii.
Aloha and mahalo, Governor and General Logan. So messages to our Hawaii residents. So just know this, your county is super prepared, okay? Do not take this hurricane lightly, like the governor said. It's time to hunker down, stay off the roads. You gotta expect power outages, right? Road closures. Again, please call 911 only for emergencies, all right? Non-emergencies, please call the non-emergency line or civil defense. All right, so civil defense, we're fully activated. We just got out of a meeting, and we're here 24/7, and we got you covered. Now, to assist with preparations, all of our county departments have been preparing all week. Okay, our county public works provided 17 sand piles around the island yesterday. I was there out in Kona, making sure that it's in the right place. There's over 200 tons of sand. Okay, and all of our residents, who needed to. They went with their bags and their shovels and they got prepared, and we're happy about that. Mahalo, Governor, General Logan, and National Guard for supporting our public safety with personnel and high water vehicles. It's staged around the island. We love it. Also, shelters around the island are opening at 6 p.m. Okay, so pretty soon we tell our evacuees to please bring your own personal supplies and sleeping supplies as well. All of our evacuation shelters are also pet friendly. County closures through Saturday, beaches, parks, and parks facilities, landfills, transfer stations. I mean, we're going to make sure there's no excuse for any of you to be on the road. Okay, mass transit routes suspended as well on Saturday. We'll take a look on what's happening on Sunday, but tomorrow it's suspended. Probabilities for severe weather will increase, just like what the governor said, and so we got to heed to those warnings. Okay, check this out. Our island hasn't had a hurricane hit us directly since 1871, okay? But I want to assure the public that we have an amazing team here in our Emergency Operations Center that's doing everything we can to keep you safe. One last thing, please sign up for our alerts by texting Hawaii Alerts, that's one word, and then just type in 888-777, and you will be alerted just like we are here at the Emergency Operations Center. Thank you. Over.
Mahalo, Mayor Alameda. At this time, we will proceed with the media question and answer with the governor at the helm, and we will start with Victoria, Honolulu Star Advertiser.
And before you go, thank you, Mayor Almeida. He's been fantastic. Been through a lot of activities. You know, just a couple days ago, they were dealing with a big fire and working with the National Guard and their firefighters. They were saving people's lives and property too. So it's been kind of steady circumstance. Even the volcano erupted the day before yesterday. So Mayor Alameda's team's been doing double and triple time. So we thank you, buddy.
Thank you. What advice would you give to farmers who want to protect their animals during the storm, especially those who lost livestock during the Kona low storms? What should they do if roads become closed or impassable? Maybe Mayor can also help.
Yeah, I might have General Logan come up too. I think that we, in general, it's a very interesting question. In general, we tell people not to transport their animals away from their properties. They should keep them, if they've got barns, they could keep them safe that way. And we're hopeful that the winds don't cause any displacement of animals, livestock, of course, people. But I don't think there's any time left to transport any additional livestock. Mayor, that's an interesting question. Have you heard that before? Oh, the power. Yeah, we got a power pause there. General? Yeah. So basically, we're again telling people you have to stay off the road. So even if you wanted to move animals or livestock about, once the storm has begun, you just can't be out there.
Yeah, I'll just reinforce what the governor just said. As you can see, the storm is moving sequentially and chronologically through the Hawaiian Island chain. So starting on the northwest side with Kauai, they probably have some time to position animals, maybe move them to a place where they can be sheltered. But for the island of Hawaii, I'm guessing that they're out of time by now, and the best thing they can do is shelter those animals.
Okay, mahalo. We're going to move to the next question. Paul Drews, KITV4.
And this is probably a question for John to better answer that. Just looking at the track of the storm, going west-northwest, after it interacts with the Big Island, whether it moves over it or passes to the south of it, it's expected to move northwest. I know we're less than 24 hours from it getting to that point, so pretty confident in this forecast, but maybe you could talk a little bit about why it's expected to stay closer to the islands.
Oh, that's a good question, Paul. The track, for as much uncertainty and delay as we had in this system forming earlier this week, the track has been very consistent near the islands. Especially the last few forecasts have been taken just south of the Big Island. And how it interacts with the very high terrain of the Big Island is a big source of uncertainty. How much it'll weaken as if it goes further north, makes landfall, there'll be more of a disruption into the circulation of the tropical storm or hurricane by that point. If it goes further south, skirts by, it'll weaken a little bit, but maybe not as much. And then with the way the wind flows around such a large place as the Big Island, there's a turning in behind it. So the expectation is that it'll be pulled northward a little bit behind it and continue on that track. And how much that goes, still up in the air. So the forecast shows our best expectation, but that's why everybody across the state, we want them to take this seriously. Most significant impacts to Hawaii County, and then everybody else across the islands, get ready, prepare for tropical storm conditions.
And in answer to a little bit of that previous question, I should reiterate, remember what Mayor Alameda said, if you do have pets, you can bring them to the shelters for safety. That's totally fine. And they'll help you accommodate them. So again, we're hopeful because they've got so much prep going, and they've got Mayor back. That's great. They've really been preparing for this for the last few days. Mayor, did you have anything else you wanted to toss in there?
Yeah, I mean, we've been at this a while, right? I've been mayor almost 2 years now, but we had a lot of practice events, unfortunately. And so here we are, right? Our team's very well connected. And, an update for the public, we made an announcement this morning and then earlier today that, we lost Thomas Magno, right? Our Civil Defense Administrator to retirement, but we are bringing on Mr. Dara Oliveira, who is very well experienced in this field. He was our administrator when I was working for the county as well, and so he will be helping us with operational oversight over the weekend, and then Monday he's going to be our acting administrator. So that's good news for us. We got good direction, good guidance. Over.
Yes. Yeah, so Chief Oliveira comes back on, and he's been through many storms with us. So it's, again, good prep. And just so you know, one other thing, I did receive a call from some of the team over in Washington. So FEMA and the White House have been in touch with us. They're fully aware of what we're dealing with, and we'll give them an update in the wee hours of the morning, too, about how much damage we expect. So we've become accustomed to giving real-time updates, whether it was the fire that occurred 3 years ago, the floods recently, and we've received FEMA support each time, which I'm appreciative of, because that's how we recover and rebuild.
Next question, Ben Kateris, Hawaii News Now.
Mahalo. Governor, and also maybe for General Logan, you just mentioned the floods that we had, and what has changed as far as coordination response between different agencies, state and counties, during the Kona lows that is being transferred or being, put into place for this, basically doing what was done in Wailua, learning from that and transferring it to places like Hawaii Island and Maui?
Sure. Just a quick, I'll start, and then I'll have General come on up. So, well, we had got a master class in waters rising around dams, and so the coordination between DLNR and the counties has been seamless for these last many days. That's important. Always we worry about this amount of rain, and so the road crews are also out and about. We've had very consistent leadership. For instance, Director Sniffin's been there kind of constantly. And as you just heard from Mayor Alameda, they have continuity because it turns out that Talmadge, who was fantastic and had this extraordinary career through many disasters, had been scheduling his retirement for some time. And so it just so happens that it's happening kind of right here as we head into this big storm. But we've got people with decades of experience on each side.
Yeah, let me please just capitalize on what the governor just said. So, after the Kona low storms and the April severe weather that we experienced, we looked at the levels of the dams, the reservoirs, and the streams. We now monitor those a lot closely. In fact, we monitor some of the major ones, such as the Nu'uanu reservoirs, and then the Wahiawa reservoir on an hourly basis, even when we don't have the storm approaching. In my own JOC, and in my other role as the director of the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency in the Emergency Operations Center, I believe that the Wahiawa site is at about 55 feet right now. And as we know, it reaches an alerts level at about 85 feet and then a topping level at about 90 feet. So it seems like it's about halfway. So I think we're good there. Because of the federal declaration of that event that I talked about in March, the governor was able to allocate some funding, and we transferred over to Director Sniffen at the Department of Transportation. And he has worked tirelessly to clear out a lot of streams, a lot of rivers that were giving us some problems. I've noticed on the news media reports this morning that many of the counties have done the same, and I believe Hawaii County has done a phenomenal work in doing the same thing. So what I would say is we learned from the extreme weather that we experienced in the spring, and we went to go and adjust those streams specifically that were giving us the most problems. So I think that's, to answer your question, I believe that that's where we're at.
Mayor, do you want to add anything about Big Island on streams and currents?
Sure, absolutely. We've checked our culverts, our canals. The Kona low had prepared us for this, actually. And, General Logan's absolutely correct. We take the heat from the state, who's done an absolute phenomenal job in their part, and with our part as well. I mean, that makes for a very safe Big Island, and that's why we're preparing for the worst, but we are hoping for the best.
There was a lot of damage. We saw, if you're talking about, for instance, in the South Kona area, Mayor's community, there were some caverns that were created. A lot of flow occurred through there. There's been a lot of repair already, but there could be quite a lot of free-flowing water. We saw that also on Maui. Total rivers opened up during the Kona lows. And A lot of that's been cleaned out, but there's still roads to be repaired. We'll see exactly how much damage the flooding does. Obviously, we're going to seek support if we need it. But again, I mentioned earlier, we have some resources that were set aside by the legislature to accelerate any recovery. This storm, which will be a 1 to 3 day event, is unlike the 30 days of rain we just had, but it's going to be very intense for a couple days.
Mahalo. Next question, Stephen Florino, KHON2.
Hey, Governor, speaking of all the victims from the Kona lows, what do you tell them? What are you feeling for them? What do you tell them emotionally? They just dealt with all this rain, and now here's potentially more rain coming.
Yeah, I tell them, trust your leaders on Big Island, Maui. The mayors are terrific. Our teams will be out there side by side, and we feel their pain because a lot of people have damage to their roofs or to their water sources. Some of the roads were cracked in and around their houses. The schools were damaged, particularly in South Kona. So we're mindful that this is kind of piling on, but it will be over quite quickly. Weather the storm, be with friends and family in the safest structures that are, in your community. That's very important. But this will not be a month-long incident. This is going to be the weekend. Lay low, stay very quiet, provide loving care for yourself and your neighbors. If you have any elderly neighbors, make sure that they are protected or with you. That's what we would say. We will immediately do assessments after the storm passes. We'll do them with the feds, with FEMA. We'll make sure that we expedite any recovery. If there's damage that's significant, we'll ask for emergency dollars in partnership with the federal government. And we'll continue to lean on the relationship that we have developed, irrespective of administration. We seem to be finding a collegial relationship because I guess everyone has some special feeling about Hawaii.
Mahalo, Governor. The next question is from Jennifer Keller, the Associated Press. Are there any specific areas or communities that you're especially concerned about in terms of impacts? Where and why? And please clarify timing of when Lala is expected to become a hurricane and when it could make landfall.
I'll just start this off and then hand it over to Mayor Alameda. I'm worried about where I used to be the doctor down in Kau and South Kona. Please, guys, don't go to South Point and do the jump off of South Point because there's a big storm. Don't do that. I used to treat people the day after these big storms with broken ankles and broken clavicles and lacerations. I mean, it's serious. This is a serious storm, and we are pretty far away from some hospitals. We have adequate hospital capacity everywhere. We've made sure of that. Mayor, what are you thinking about the Big Island and your most vulnerable spaces?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's definitely, Kau, well, let's go from Hilo, work our way to Volcano, and then you got, Pahala, Na'alehu, Waihinu, you got Discovery Harbor, then we're talking Ocean View, right? There's a lot of homes there, and then Mililui, that's the south side of the island. I mean, so we're very concerned about that side, and the governor's correct. We want to make sure that residents use common sense. I mean, we don't want your extracurricular activity become our rescue mission. So it's very important that you heed to this advice. Please take the necessary precautions. We don't have a lot of first responders to save everybody, right? So the more that our residents can do to take care of themselves and take care of their neighbors, the easier it is for governments such as us to respond to the real emergencies. Thank you, Gov.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just got briefings also from the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is ready, and they're ready to do search and rescue missions, but people should not be out boating. That's just not something that you should be doing. We also will have aircraft that will be available because General Logan has pre-positioned our assets. Also, it was mentioned we've got all kinds of additional vehicles. And one of the things we did get to do after the previous storms was we got to acquire and update some of our fleet. So high water vehicles, these things can go through some pretty tough, settings if necessary. But we don't want to do or have to do what we did during the Kona lows, which was, have large rescues where a big flood suddenly surges. So people should not be out camping. Please listen to the mayors. They are closest to their communities and, are absolutely compassionate about their people, of course. So please listen to them. They'll be giving you updates. We'll all be doing social media. And, we'll give you updates every, 8 to 12 hours, depending. We try not to burden people, just lay low. But you'll get the updates on exactly the trajectory of the storm and how much rain we get.
Mahalo, Governor. Go ahead, John.
just want to add a couple more points to part of Jennifer's question of when is it going to become a hurricane? That's tomorrow afternoon. We're going to expect gradual strengthening tonight, a hurricane tomorrow. And then in addition to the impacts to Hawaii County, also areas that we're worried about are places across the state where winds would be enhanced by the terrain. Not just the southern half, like North Big Island, Kohala, downslope into Kauai High, Maui, through the Central Valley, into West Maui, through the channels into Lanai. A lot of these areas that see very strong winds could have more enhancement, stronger wind gusts, and more damage as the wind field with the tropical storm or hurricane eventually interacts with the island terrain too.
And with winds of that strength, we can't get helicopters or planes up into the rescue zone. So that's why it's really important to take to heart what Mayor Alameda said, which is he's got the teams. We have the force to go and rescue people over time, and they're pre-positioned. But in some cases, it's very difficult to get out. So our best bet is to stay home and be safe.
Mahalo, Governor. Our final question comes from Paul Drews, KITV4.
After what we saw with the March Kona low storms, even for leeward areas of Hawaii Island, I know we've been talking about up to maybe 24 inches, so 2 feet of rain potential for the windward side, and that sounds impressive. Are you more concerned, and this is a question for you or for the mayor, more concerned with that possible 2 feet of rain for the windward side, or maybe 4 to 8 inches for the leeward side of the Big Island?
I'm worried about both. I mean, you know, if the rain comes in a very dense band, we saw even just a couple inches of rain cause that super surge of water in Manoa, for example. We got 3 feet suddenly of rise in a school area. So it can hit you very hard, very quickly. I mean, the 2 feet of rain is an unbelievable amount of water, and that's going to cause definite displacement of rock and debris. Mayor, you want to comment about the other sides?
Sure. I mean, I agree, both and then some, because it's not just the rain. You know, it's the wind and it's the high surf, and you know, and with that, you know, we got potential, you know, traffic issues and mudslides, and I mean, you name it. So, you know, we're concerned about all of it. The rain can produce a lot of problems, and so, you know, then electrical issues, which then it's a domino effect. So, I mean, yeah, we're concerned about it all.
And we'll give you the updates on how many outages we have, how many roads go down. Director Sniffin's already been pre-positioned himself to make sure that he can send crews out if some of the slopes, for instance, we seem to every time have some on the north shore of Big Island and over Hamakua Coast. I seem to recall a lot of like landslides that would occur. Some of the rock was just subject to that. So these are concerns, even if it's not, you know, a foot of water, sometimes the road becomes dangerous. So again, be very careful, and we'll give you big updates on infrastructure especially, and then we'll come and repair it, whatever goes down. But most important thing to me, let's not lose any loved ones. So just be very safe throughout this storm. We can repair roads, we can replace cars, we can fix schools, but it's hard for us if we lose one of the people we love. Like we did lose one individual in the flood in a raging river on Maui. We have been in constant communication also with Mayor Bisson, with Mayor Blangiardi and his team, and Mayor Kawakami. Though we're hopeful that the storm might not affect Kauai as much, you can bet that Mayor Kawakami will be pitching in with his fellow mayors. That's the kind of guy he's been. So we'll just keep going and be very safe. Okay, so that about wraps it up. Thank you again, Mayor Alameda. I appreciate you and your team. Your team has been absolutely great. We'll be at the headquarters, full tilt, 24/7 till the storm is done. And if we do need to call up more National Guard or other parts of the military, we've already been given commitments from our dear friends at the Department of the Department of Defense, Department of War, that if we need extra support, we'll have it. So we have all kinds of help, but the best thing we can do is help each other as neighbors and kind of lay low through this storm. Aloha.
This formally concludes today's news conference. Stay safe, kako, and e malama.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah, we'll give you we're going to have another meeting at 8 in the morning. Of course, John and I communicate 4 in the morning routinely, so that's another deal. And